Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. I think everybody's settled. I think everybody's here now. I'm Rochelle Riley. Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. I am Director of Arts and Culture for the City of Detroit, but in spite of that side hustle, I am a writer by trade, warrior by necessity, and worked for almost 20 years as a columnist at the Detroit Free Press, and I am a proud member of the Michigan Journalism Hall of Fame. I am ribboned. The Hall and the university would like to welcome you, all of our guests. You all look so good. We want to thank all the committee members who made tonight happen. We also owe a great debt of gratitude to our bronze sponsor, Brandon Lee Spite Memorial Foundation. Please give the foundation a hand. There are dozens and dozens of awards for great journalism, but there are only a few that reward a great life in journalism. And those Lifetime Achievement Awards and inductions into halls of fame speak to that lifelong commitment to excellence that some journalists make. And we're here to celebrate some of them tonight. We hope this serves as inspiration to hundreds of other journalists so they can aspire to even greater heights, and to thank those who have reached those heights and continue to reach back. Now, please welcome Dr. Tim Voss, Director of the School of Journalism and Chair of the Hall of Fame Committee.
Thank you, Rochelle. And thank you all for being here this evening. On behalf of the MSU School of Journalism, on behalf of the Michigan Journalism Hall of Fame, we're delighted that you're here to celebrate these great journalists and great journalism in Michigan. Just a few thank yous before I hand it back to Rochelle. Well, first of all, thank you, Rochelle Riley, for being our MC, handling those duties tonight. We also want to say thank you to the Kellogg Center staff for their work here this evening and for the preparation that went into this evening. So also, thank you to the MSU School of Journalism faculty, staff, and students who did so much of the work behind the scenes, particularly Rick Epps, Joe Grimm, Barb Miller, a number of students, including Jessica Snyder, Siri Nickel, Anna Delianis, Zachary Garcia, and Audrey Richardson. And then one more big special thank you, and that is to Betsy DeSantis, who is the main organizer of this event. Betsy is exceptionally good at her job, and we simply wouldn't be able to do this event without her. So thank you for your hard and meticulous work. Again, we're delighted that you're here. Let's celebrate these amazing journalists this evening.
We are so excited tonight. Oh, paparazzi, this is awesome. Yes. We are so excited, and before I cue our wonderful team to get started, I just want to say a couple of words. Okay. Take it away.
Lucinda Davenport is no stranger to the Michigan Journalism Hall of Fame. She used to chair it, but that's not why she's being honored tonight. It's because of her spectacular career as a journalist, educator, and researcher in the field. And it runs in her blood. Her mother's family owned newspapers. Her uncle was the moderator for the Washington Week in Review, and her grandmother was a high school teacher and principal. Lucinda started as a newspaper reporter and a public radio news director before joining the world of academia. She made her mark by focusing on new media technologies, including virtual classrooms and 3D storytelling, and by writing both papers and textbooks, which are used across the country and around the world. She also applied what she learned at MSU, not only guiding the next generation of journalists, but helped build them $1 million newsroom for them to practice their craft. It's our honor to celebrate the woman who is focused on the journalists and journalism of the future, Dr. Lucinda Davenport.
Oh my goodness. This is such an amazing honor. You know, I feel like I am crashing a very exclusive VIP party. And not only that, I get the opportunity to talk to this room full of VIPs. So thank you on that. So congratulations to my cohort of inductees. You are beacons of talent and role models in the industry. And thank you to the Hall of Fame committee and sponsoring journalism organizations. And thank you for your effort toward the Hall of Fame. And again, Betsy and our great students, thank you so much for all your hard work. Certainly, I want to thank the very generous person who nominated me. Judy Walgren is a Pulitzer Prize-winning photojournalist who has exposed the human condition in Somalia, Rwanda, Bosnia, and India, among her many stories. Thank you, Judy, for all of your time and effort on my behalf. This is something that you didn't need to do, but you did. So thank you. Judy told me the name of the folks who wrote letters for me, such generous people as well, and they are inspiring colleagues. They include Jerry Limit-Zeldis, Stacy Fox, Joanne Gershner, Tim Kiska, and Pat Anstedt, Howard Bosson, Sue Carter, John Bender, Eric Friedman, Steve Lacey, Jackie Lohman, and Serena Miller. And that group includes 6 Hall of Famers, multiple university distinguished faculty, national and international professional journalism award winners. I'd like to thank my family. Although words can never fully embrace the great emotion that I have, Fred, my handsome husband of more than 30 years, Rachel, my beautiful lawyer daughter, Jason, my caring son, whose arrival home between the Army Rangers training and captain school was a surprise last night. Thank you also to Maddie, his lovely partner, a professional soccer player and mechanical engineer. Andrea, my gorgeous sister, who is also my bellwether, my role model, and also my conscience. Jim, her partner, who is a top aviation lawyer, and William Fielding III, my kind-hearted brother, who I can always count on for just about everything. So thank you so much. And I have another family. They are my work family. All of my colleagues are the very best of the best of the best. You make it a joy to come to work. We help and support each other and relish each other's achievements as if they were our own. There are many happy birthday signs in the hallways and sometimes gold fairy dust and rhinestone crowns to commemorate an event. And always, always good conversation from interesting people who shoulder more than their share of work. And at MSU, well, lately we've had a lot of work. With the Nassar, with a pandemic, 3 presidents, larger than average classes, pay and retirement cuts, and a shooting, just to name a few things. But we also have marvelous students and co-workers. So this induction into the Journalism Hall of Fame is the result of many collaborations with a lot of co-workers and who also belong in the Hall of Fame with me. Judy said that her nomination letter focused on 2 things: my work during the digital revolution and as director of MSU's School of Journalism. Well, my work as a journalist in newsrooms during the digital revolution and on research conducted in the spirit of improving the practice of journalism has been improved one way or another by knowing others. In my administrative work, it has been the joint effort of colleagues who make a journalism program the best in the nation. Success takes a village. The more and different ideas that are brought to the table and discussed, the better the results. We are always learning through others in our workplace as professionals, teachers, and students who all look at an issue or a practice with different but equally valued viewpoints. I am inspired by my colleagues as we imagine what the future can be. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, because of my big family, this induction is something to be shared with gratefulness toward others. I have a few short observations to share about our journalism industry, perhaps with students in the room in mind. We've traveled down a hard road, from the Great Recession to being slow to understand the internet to the pandemic shutdown. But here are some lessons we have learned. It's not really a good idea to have your business depend on the business acumen of others and hope that they advertise during a recession or a pandemic. They don't. However, remember that a year after the New York Times implemented a paywall, it was making more money from subscriptions than advertising. And people are becoming accustomed to paying for news, just as they went from free broadcast radio and television, now they're paying for cable, satellite, and streaming. Many ink-on-paper news outlets have closed. Yet, the number of digital native news outlets is growing and have won Pulitzers. The internet costs a lot less for news startups and also provides more voices. Many jobs have been cut. However, the Department of Labor projects a 14% growth in media and communication jobs to exceed the average growth of all occupations and salaries between 2020 and 2030. A major reason is the growth in the digital news platforms and the continuing strength of broadcast industry. Digital native news outlets alone employ about 20,000 journalists, and in news desert areas, many citizens and retired journalists are starting up with local news websites with donations, and they're winning headliner awards. We have a diversity problem. We still do. However, digital-only newsrooms rose to 50% women, 31% journalists of color, and managers in all newsrooms are 41% women, 20% people of color, and 2% non-binary. Last year, USA Today had a majority of female journalists, 52%, which comes closer to the percentage of women in journalism schools. So I have two more. Okay, maybe three. I'm a journalist. Many people have turned away from news. One reason is because they're depressed over the consistent bad news and negative headlines. That's fixable. There are many ways to say the same thing. Stories can be constructive while still informing people about issues and events. Trust, enemies of the people, was also used by Stalin against those who challenged his rule, and by Hitler with Jews and others. Yet, in other countries, up to 70% of the people trust the media. And trust comes in the form of covering diverse groups within a community so that news is more accurate, it's more comprehensive, and it becomes more trustworthy because it becomes more inclusive. A major concern is social media, and that is social media newsfeed algorithms, also called news aggregators. In a nutshell, these artificial intelligence robots profile us, and they expose us to individualized information, some verified, a lot unreliable. And all of these reflect our own opinions. So thus, our knowledge of the world becomes smaller, fragmented, and we have less in common with each other. Our country is becoming more politically polarized, less respectful of each other. I can't put on my rose-colored glasses yet with that one, but we need to work on it. More literacy, media literacy will help. Legislation is a must, and it's a worry because we care so much. So thank you again to my big family, and also for the honor of letting me crash this VIP party. So thank you.
Before the video, I was just going to say that for years, as a member of the Hall of Fame committee, I worked with Lucinda, who planned the VIP party. So it's about time that the party was for you. Thank you. Our next honoree is Sherry Jones.
I'm going to be honest. There are a lot of TV people who get a lot of love because they've been around a long time, not necessarily because they do a lot of work. Not Sherry Jones. She's given her all every day at WLNS TV for almost 35 years. In that time, she's helped catch hundreds of fugitives.
Well, Crime Stoppers works because of your tips.
Lugged a camera to Africa to take part in and tell the story of a build for Habitat for Humanity.
By midweek, we were mixing the mortar, shovel by shovel, and passing the red-fired bricks to be put into place, creating the walls for the 4-roomed home.
And done work so powerful it made her co-anchors cry.
As Melissa and Mark wipe away their tears, they realize how a matter of seconds has left them to endure a lifetime of heartache.
You just saved a life. I'm telling you, they did.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
We're so appreciative.
And we want to thank them, and we want to thank you for watching. We apologize, but you know, I bet you're doing this at home
Right,
too.
I know.
Sherry has also mentored scores of journalists, honored Michigan women in an Emmy-winning documentary, and chaired a campaign to build a shelter for abused children. But she never shed her own tears on the air until earlier this year.
Hi, Sherry. It's Ashley Banfield, and tonight, Nexstar and News Nation would like to congratulate you on being inducted into the Michigan Journalism Hall of Fame. Yay!
We're really proud of you. We'll talk to you later, honey. Bye-bye.
Oh my gosh, I'm completely overwhelmed.
Ladies and gentlemen, Sherry Jones.
Oh my goodness, seeing that video again, I was stunned. I was absolutely stunned, but I think my dad became way more popular than me ever in 35 years. Oh, your dad was so cute, you know? And he did that from Florida with my sister. So it was, Jam surprised me. Where are you, Jam? There you are. He has totally surprised me. And Lisa Whiting Dobson, who is here with me tonight too, putting this all together behind the scenes, just a blessing in my life. So I'm honored to be here with you today. Thank you so much. There are so many people I'd like to thank, but I'd like to start first with thanking God, who really works through me to tell these stories, to help people feel comfortable to share their stories with me so that I can bring them to my community. And then my parents, my dad, who is with us today, who encouraged me to cold call WCUZ Radio in Grand Rapids when I was just a 22-year-old college graduate. Just go there and tell them that you're out into the world now. And that really was the opening for my broadcasting career. So thank you for that encouragement. I got off the couch and went and did that. So thank you, Dad. My mom, who is in heaven, I know, watching from heaven, and she is up there saying to all my guardian angels, that's our girl, that's our girl. So I miss my mom, but I'm wearing her earrings, so I'm feeling very at peace with that. My husband of 34 years, Rocco, no one accomplishes anything alone, and thank you for your love and support all these years. I hope that you realize that you belong in the Husband's Hall of Fame. You do, yes. My 3 amazing children, Brock, Connor, and Bree, wave so they know you're back there. There they are. I'm so proud of you. You are the light of my life, and I am so just in awe of you, and I appreciate your love and respect for everything that I do. And my soon-to-be daughter-in-law, Nicole. Yay! So thank you all very much. Now, the same gratitude goes to my beloved aunts and uncles, and my cousins who are here today from my hometown of Ravenna. Thank you so much. Having you here means the world to me. My sister Christine and her family, who can't be here, they're in Florida right now, but they're always close to my heart. I want to say thank you to my sisters and my brothers-in-law for traveling and being here with us today. Your support over the years with this demanding career, and you're in my heart, and I am so grateful for you. I love you all. My friends, my fourth grade friend is here with me today. That is a blessing right there. She surprised me, Annette. And my 1 in a million, Kaylee, thank you so much for traveling all this way from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate your friendship. And Siobhan, having you here just means the world. I'd like to thank the women who nominated me tonight. They're among the many people in the committee as well who voted. I'd like to say thank you to you, Lisa, Susie, Jan, Jean, and Holly. You're all incredible in your own right. I am in awe of you as well. And thank you to my news director, Jam Sardar. You always support me. You support every initiative that I bring to you. You support our staff, and it's been a blessing to work with you for almost 20 years. Ross Woodstock and Brad Edwards, they were also people that wrote a letter of recommendation. And my Crime Stoppers family, thank you. 30 years I've been affiliated with the Crime Stoppers program, and what a blessing. Appreciate you very much for being here. Just the other day, I was walking around campus, and something I love to do. And I took time to imagine what it was like all those years ago, and imagining myself, as a freshman, what my life in journalism was going to be like. I had lots of hopes and dreams, but a lot of trepidation. What will the road be like? Well, I'm so grateful for the many people that influenced me on my journey and taught me so much. The true meaning and responsibilities of being a truth-seeking journalist. And those receiving recognition tonight understand that deeply, and congratulations to all of you. Top of mind, Bill Cote. I signed up for Capital News Service at MSU in state government reporting, and I remember him literally giving me a tape recorder and a notebook and telling me, go to the Capitol and find some stories. And I was like, you're kidding me, right? I'm 20, I have no credibility. How am I going to do that? Well, in the years since being a very persistent reporter, I've had the opportunity to interview the past 5 governors and their spouses on different topics. And you know what? Bill knew that. Bill knew that because we stayed in touch with each other. He liked Rocco's spaghetti and meatballs, maybe that's why he stayed in touch with me. But, and I know Bill would be super proud to see one of his students join him in the Michigan Journalism Hall of Fame. When my daughter Brianna and I traveled to Washington, D.C. in May of 2015 for her class trip, we went to the museum. Have any of you been to the museum? Yeah, just amazing, amazing place. So you know this, and I know it'll be in your mind. It was incredible. On one of the walls was painted this saying. It said, "The free press is the corner of democracy. A free press at its best reveals the truth. People have the need to know. Journalists have the right to tell. Finding the facts can be difficult. Reporting the story can be dangerous. Responsibilities includes the duties to be fair. News is history in the making, and journalists provide the first draft of history." It has stuck with me all these years. We as journalists have the responsibility to tell the very difficult and hard stories. You look around your community and we see where people are hurting from the opioid epidemic, the current mental health crisis, COVID-19 pandemic, and the ongoing gun violence that plagues and claims our most precious lives. Asking people, what I do, to crack open their hearts and share their stories with you can be very painful. But it's life-changing for those who hear it. Reporting the story can be dangerous, hence Crime Stoppers. People lose their lives over doing this job. We have the responsibility to be fair and factual, and I preach this to every person I work with. I've always said I would rather be right than first. Everyone who has come through the doors at TV6 knows that is my mantra. Journalists like many of you in this room today know that we are writing the first draft of history, documenting events as they happen through the voices of those that we talk to and what you see with your own eyes. And it is a huge responsibility, one that I never take for granted. I have a saying on my desk, many sayings. I have a messy desk. It says, life is too short not to love what you're doing. Try to be the best that you can be. Focus and concentrate. Trust your instincts and your common sense. Don't just make a living, make a life. The possessions you gather do not define you. It's the people you know and love that count. So as I look around the room, I know that where my heart is, my treasure will also be, and that is with all of you. Thank you for this incredible honor.
I have never met a news anchor who wasn't beautiful, but 35 years, girl, you look good. Wow. Our next honoree is Louise Ruth Mahan.
Louise Ruth Leismer Mahan didn't just overcome many obstacles in her short life. She used her years to make a difference, particularly for women and the indigenous people of Michigan. She was orphaned at 14 and later dropped out of school, but she didn't let that stop her from becoming a force of nature wherever she worked. She started at the Petoskey News Review and served as the women's editor for almost a decade. She also wrote for the Detroit Free Press and the Royal Oak Daily Tribune before moving to the Detroit News. But it was what she wrote, not where she wrote it, that established her reputation. Her articles about children, divorce, and abortion broke new ground, and she wrote so frequently about Native American tribes in Michigan that they named her Tebachimokwa, or storyteller. She also led the way for other female journalists, founding and serving as the first president of the Michigan Women's Press Club. The group eventually named its Woman of Achievement Award after her, so while she died in 1975 at the age of 49, her legacy lives on today, there and here as the newest member of the Michigan Journalism Hall of Fame.
I am very proud as a woman on behalf of all the women in the room and women in journalism in Michigan to accept this award on her behalf. And I want to mention one other thing. She became the first white woman to be adopted by the tribes, as you heard in the video. But because of her strong tribal relationships, Governor George Romney named her to Michigan's first Commission on Indian Affairs. I think that that is the type of thing that I wish I'd known sooner. In addition to that, before she died, literally at the young age of 49, she got an award, the Louise Leismer Mahan Woman of Achievement Award, which was later named for her, given annually to recognize journalists who did outstanding work that affected the lives of people and exemplified her pursuit to use her journalism to help others. So please give a warm hand to Louise Leismer Mahan. Our next honoree is Jim McFarland.
There's no one word that can describe inductee Jim McFarland because no one word does it justice. But here are a few: reporter, author, critic, blogger, radio and TV host, newsletter editor, public speaker, comedian, Pistons announcer, and if you need someone to officiate your wedding, Jimmy is your man. It's fitting that he's being inducted into the Michigan Journalism Hall of Fame because his career has spanned the state. The Hope College grad started in Grand Rapids and moved to Flint 5 years later. Then he joined the Detroit News, where he spent more than 15 years writing a variety of stories. It's also where he became the first person of color to cover rock and pop for the paper. Along the way, he restored coverage of the city's radio scene, creating the Big Mac Radio Awards and serving as a TV critic. But his work didn't end after he left the news. He freelanced for outlets around Detroit and even USA Today. And among his many other honors and awards, he's the first and only winner of Michigan's Best Rock Critic Award. Ladies and gentlemen, Jim McFarland.
Oh, hello. May I have a round of applause, please, for the great Rochelle Riley? She is amazing, and thank you so much for doing this. Rochelle's got a Pulitzer, and she's been in 3 Hall of Fame, so you know she's bad, all right? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, thank you so much for being here. I truly do appreciate it. I believe I have to begin with some distressing news. My standing here before you tonight is a clear indication that the Michigan Journalism Hall of Fame is running out of people to induct. I'm as surprised as many of you are to see me standing here tonight. When I think of journalists who are inducted into a Hall of Fame, I think of crusading, dynamic writers and reporters, people who take down crooked politicians and stamp out corruption wherever they find it and make the state a better and happier and healthier place to live. I spent 40 years covering rock and roll, listening to TV and watching radio, so I do what you all do for free, so I don't understand where, but it's been, I was talking to Felicia Henderson, who is just amazing herself, just a few minutes ago, and I said we're recounting stories of the rock and roll days, and to be a critic of color, especially a black rock critic in Detroit in the 80s, was a trip. And I never wrote a review that criticized the band because it wasn't about the band, it was about me. Let me explain. Say Aerosmith was in town and gave a bad show. Happens, you know, bands have 40 dates, you know, they're gonna have a ringer every now and then. So I get the bad show. I write the review. Days later, I get letters in the mail. This is before email, so I got letters in the mail, way before email, you know, something? And that would say, Mr. McFarland, Aerosmith was wonderful last night. The problem you have is that you don't understand rock and roll. Your background doesn't allow you to experience the music the way we do. So it wasn't the band, it was you. Please don't cover rock and roll again. So now an R&B act comes into town. They have a bad show, oh no. So I write the review. Letters come pouring in over the days. Mr. McFarland, Rick James did a great show last night. The problem was, you're so far removed from your culture. You don't understand what the music's all about. You've been in rock and roll too long, so please don't write about black music anymore. It's embarrassing. So it never was the band, it was me. This led to what I call the McFarland Law of Expected Gratification. It goes something like this. You take your spouse, your beloved, to see, let's see, the Stones, Springsteen, Taylor Swift, and you're paying $150 a ticket. Go see the show. They put on the best damn show you've ever seen, or else you've lost $300. You don't want to be an idiot, so it was a great show. So how dare the critic who's impartial say it was a bad show? You don't know what you're talking about. It was a great show, $300 worth of great show. How dare you? So over time, I learned that kind of valuable lesson. We were recounting the story. Back in the day, they had these multiple R&B act shows, usually at Cobo Hall. Usually they'd be like Ashford and Simpson and a whole bunch of acts. And this night, the headliner was Aretha Franklin. I committed the cardinal sin. Aretha came on about 12:15 in the morning. 6 acts had preceded her. Half the crowd had left. Energy was gone. She was pissed off because she's coming at 12:15. It's the Queen of Soul. She comes out and she just kind of, you know, does about 4 or 5 acts, hey, baby, baby, and she leaves. So I write the review. Monday morning, Cecil Franklin, her brother and manager, organized a picket line outside the Detroit News, demanding my immediate resignation because how dare he criticize the Queen of Soul in Detroit? What the heck were you thinking? A rumor had gotten around that I was blasted, I was drunk that night. It's the only reason I would have done it. I appeared before my publisher, and thank God there were other people in the press box who saw me stone cold sober and said, no, he was really writing Aretha was bad, I'm sorry. So we never spoke, Aretha and I, but it's kind of the thing you went through in those days. It was a fascinating time. I was told I had 3 minutes, but I have the mic, and you know. But there were some people that I just wanted to thank. I can't tell you what an honor it is to be inducted into this august body. I'm really kind of speechless. I am honored that people are here who I've looked up to, who have helped me in my career. My first editor, Mike Lloyd, is in this Hall of Fame, as is my first publisher, Werner Veit, and as well as the man who took a big chance on a skinny black kid from the West Side who said, "You want to cover rock and roll? Okay." Ben Burns took me as a mentor and a guide, and I would not be here without him. May he rest in peace. I think of him often and very fondly. But there are also people in this body who look like me. And I see many of them here in the hall tonight. The great Luther Keith, who was, I believe, still the youngest person ever inducted in this Hall of Fame. He's sitting right there. I see Vicki Thomas. I see Kim Herron. I see all these people that have, and Kim Herron made my stuff look good for years because he was my editor at the Metro Times. It's people who look like me who are here, and I could go on and on. There's Al Allen and Hugh Granum and Ted Talbot. I miss Ted every day. So many people who have made the platform for me to be here tonight. And then there are people who thought they were black, like Bill Bonds, and they were. I have a great Bill Bonds story. I don't have the time to tell you now, but if you see me later tonight at the bar, I'd be happy to tell it because it's a great story. Anyway, I got 3 minutes. I only 3 minutes. I only have 3 minutes. I'm sorry. They told me. Oh, all right. The old Detroit Press Club downtown, long gone, they had a big affair one night, and all the bigwigs were there. Sonny Elliott was there, and all the anchors people. And at the corner, in a corner table by himself, Bill Bonds. No one would dare to sit with Bill Bonds because it's Bill Bonds. So he's sitting there, and I'm walking past his table, and Bill says, he summons me over to his table. Oh my goodness, I'm going to sit one-on-one with Bill Bonds. What the heck did I do now? So I sit down. I'm covering TV at the time. And Bill says, "Jimmy, I just want to tell you, I think you're doing a tremendous job covering TV for the news. I read your stuff all the time. I think it's really outstanding." I'm like, "This is Bill Bonds?" So he takes out a card, his business card. He writes his personal number on the back. He said, "If I can ever do anything for you, happy to help you, just let me know." Now, of course, being Bill Bonds, 2 weeks later, he was like, got pulled over for DUI. Something happened. So I had to cover it. So I take the card. I called Bill Bonds at home. I said, "Bill, what happened?" Bill said, "How'd you get this number? Who gave you this number?" "I want questions answered." Yeah, my man, Bill Bonds. Okay, anyway. So many people I want to thank. I don't have a lot of time, and if I forget you, I'm getting a little older, but know that you're in my head and in my heart if you don't issue from my lips right now. But first and foremost, I want to thank my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, because I don't know why I'm still here. I have no idea why they kept me around. He has something for me to do that's yet untold. Because as my wife Karen tells almost anybody who will listen, he was a rock critic in Detroit in the 80s. Anything you think he did it. So the reason I'm still here, I don't know, but I know he knows, and I'm thankful for him. Along with that, of course, the aforementioned Karen, best wife ever, the Bee-Wee, is sitting right there, and you know and I know I would not be sucking air and taking up space if it wasn't for you. You have helped me and guided me. You are my inspiration. I love you so much. Thank you for being here. I wanted a couple of things are rolling off now, but I want to thank my brother who is here in the back, Lionel Penn. Yeah, see, that's my brother, right? And his lovely wife, Annette. I was adopted at birth, so we did not grow up together, but my parents, my parents, in their divine wisdom, wanted us to know that we had siblings. So although we didn't grow up together, we still knew each other. We were together on holidays, and since our sister Jackie passed away last year, I think he may be my last living blood relative. And I always had some health issues lately. The fact he got here and wanted to come here and wanted to be part of this means more to me than you know. Lonnie, thank you so much, man. You're my man. Thank you so much. I want to thank, I'm going weepy now. I'll be all right. But I just want to say that it's been an outstanding ride. I'm so thankful to be here. I want you to know that there are 3 life moments that will always be a part of me till the day I leave this planet. The first was being the first graduate from my high school, Spring Lake High School in Spring Lake, Michigan. Go you Lakers. We got some Lakers here in the back. My best friend, almost since kindergarten, Dr. Walker Parmley, is in the back with his wife, Gail. Ed Tebezinski, we call him Ed, and his wife, Mary. It was Ed who introduced me to Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Band in his blue Chevy pickup as a teenager and changed the trajectory of my life. It was music like I'd never heard before. And I became a rock critic, maybe because of you. I'm not paying you any money, but I want you to know that. But I was the first graduate from my high school to deliver the commencement address at my high school, and I got to rent a limo and put my parents in it and drive them to the front of the row in the high school so I could look them in the eye and tell them how much they meant to me, how much I loved them, how much they were contributing to who I am today. That was one. Second, being the first McFarland to attend college to receive the 2019 Distinguished Alumni Award from my alma mater, Hope College in Holland, Michigan. Oh my goodness. And the current president of Hope is here tonight, who came here just for this. Matt Scogan is in the back. President, thank you so much. I have 2 words for you all: hope forward. Look it up, know about it, support it. It has the potential to change the entire landscape of higher education as we know it today. It is an amazing program. I'm proud to be on the board of trustees and be a part of this as it's growing around us. So we've got that, we've got Hope College, and we have this moment here tonight. I cannot tell you what an honor it is to be included among these prestigious people. Even Walter is who, as you may know, has been the mentor and inspiration for literally hundreds of young students, especially students of color. And I'm so proud to be inducted into this year with you. Thank you all for being here. Please enjoy the rest of your evening. I know I will, and have a nice night. Thank you.
Okay, now we're going to have some fun. More than any other honoree, and although I have great former colleagues and friends being inducted tonight, this man is the main reason that I am here. I could never say no to Walter. Walter and I have been friends for 35 years. He has been a brother, advisor, obstacle to bad decisions, and one of the greatest mentors to literally hundreds of young journalists for decades. I could go on, but he'll murder me. So I'll just tell you one quick Walter joke that he used to do at parties all the time. This is Rochelle at a stoplight. Because he said I would never stop at the light. So I'm always looking behind me to try and find it. He does that all the time, and yes, it is true, I am a bad driver, so just know I still do that. And I don't stop in the middle of the intersection, just past the stoplight, that's all. Anyway, and then I also have my favorite joke that I tell him, and he always laughs. He probably won't now. Where do you find a cow with no legs? Right where you left it. Our next honoree, Walter Middlebrook.
At first, Walter Middlebrook wanted to be a scientist, and as a student at MIT, he was on his way to making that dream come true. But after joining the student paper, he changed his mind, and legions of journalists are glad he did. Walter has had a long and storied career inside and outside of Michigan. He was a copy boy in Memphis and a writer and editor in Minnesota before moving to Michigan to serve as an editor at the Detroit News. His talent got him promoted to positions editing at USA Today and the New York Times. He eventually left New York for his second stint at the Detroit News, spending more than a decade as the Director of Recruitment and Community Affairs and Assistant Managing Editor. Over the years, he was part of teams that won a Pulitzer and a National Sigma Delta Chi Award. He not only recruited and coached journalists throughout his career, he taught them at 3 universities, including MSU, as well as the Detroit Writing Room. He has also been on the boards of the Detroit chapters of the NABJ, SPJ, and the Rosa Parks Scholarship Foundation. Please welcome Walter Middlebrook.
This is such a great day and such a great moment. These stories, my colleagues here, this is not in the script, so I'm kind of confected right now, so bear with me. I'm not an overly religious person, but there are times when you have to recognize that for the grace of the Almighty, none of us would be here today. I am honored to be among this latest group of inductees to the Michigan Journalism Hall of Fame. I come from a very small family, And I want to thank those family members who made the trek up from Memphis to be here tonight. Gang, thank you. I want to thank those of you who supported my nomination, and I want to thank the committee for selecting that application among those many you received. Most of all, I want to thank my sponsor, Marty Fishoff, who's largely responsible for shepherding that nomination. Marty, I am forever indebted for what you did here. But let's get to the real reason we're here. I want to thank you all for coming out, celebrating, and bestowing this honor on this class of inductees. And I am more than honored to be a part of it. To prepare for this speech, I went through some files, found a letter I wrote back in 1983 to an editor of a newspaper responding to a question he asked me. What do you want to do, Walter Middlebrook? And I wrote, more than 20 years ago, I became enthused about this business we call journalism because of the changes we journalists could make in this system. I was enchanted by all the wonderful personalities of the journalists I had come to know before that time, those people of vision and dreams. These journalists cared, I wrote, about the poor, and they could just as easily fight for the rich. There was passion, there was love. No sacrifice was too big. But I wanted more, I said. I need to be among and work with the vibrant people. I need to be in and out of an office. I need to be part of an active community. I need to be a teacher, a counselor, part of a team that's willing to take chances. Finally, I wrote, I need a challenge. That editor was challenging me to move and to change my career in my area of concentration. The challenge would have been a change that offers a fearful prospect for anyone, I told him. I didn't get that job, but another challenge would arise a few years later that would bring me to Detroit and the Detroit News. Both institutions have and will always be a very significant part of my life. As an editor there, I've always argued that a newsroom needs to be full of national reporters and local reporters. The locals are born and raised in the area. They know all the ins and outs. Then there's those nationals, the ne'er-do-wells, who have moved and lived all over the country. Hello. Many times, those nationals are never fully accepted by the locals. It's another one of those challenges that the nationals faces the nationals like me when we come to different places in our lives. I'm going to stick to the 2-minute thing. I wrote, thank you, Detroit. Thank you, Michigan, for accepting this national. I have tried to be among the best and to make a mark in this community. This award, this event, tonight, say I'm getting there. Thank you. It's Theophilus, okay? Walter Theophilus Middlebrook Jr.
Woo! Is it really?
I know what you can say at parties now when he starts to say that about you.
Thank you. That's what I'll do. When you're doing this thing, yes, Theophilus. Our next honoree, Patricia Montemori, a former Free Press colleague and one of the best to ever do the job, is here tonight, and she's being inducted.
Patty Montemori's love for journalism started at a young age when she would take newspapers from her neighbors' porches so she could get her daily fix of news. But it wasn't long before the University of Michigan grad went from reading the news to reporting it. And over the course of a 36-year career at the Detroit Free Press, boy, did she report it. From her Pulitzer-nominated work on Dennis Archer to her work exposing wrongdoing by Kwame Kilpatrick, she had her finger on the pulse of Detroit politics. But it's her coverage of the Catholic Church where Montemori made her mark. While that work included sexual abuse by priests, it didn't stop there. Her work includes how nuns helped rewrite their role in the church, and her stories on the mass mob movement helped bring in hundreds of thousands of dollars for local churches. Since leaving the FREEP in 2015, she has also written 5 books on the Detroit area Catholic Church. She has won state and national awards over the course of her career, and she adds another honor tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Patricia Montemurri.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. I will treasure this moment, this night, this honor, and seeing all of you in this room. And it's rare for this Wolverine to cherish anything about MSU. My thanks to the Hall of Fame committee members for this honor, to my buddy ML Elric, who orchestrated my nomination, and to the talented and generous people who wrote letters in support of me, and several of them are in this room. Thank you to Ron Zwankowski and Bishop Walter Hurley and Anita Sevier and Bill McGraw and Cassandra Spratling and others who couldn't be with us tonight, Carol Lee Hutton and Amber Ariano and Tom Mann and Rusty Hills. Thank you for all the kind words you said about me. I joke that hearing what folks had to say about me was a bit like being allowed entry into my future funeral. It lifted me up to read what you wrote about me, and fortunately, it wasn't on the stairway to heaven. Or otherwise. Okay. I see so many people here who are part of my story and the stories I wrote for the Detroit Free Press. Journalists were social long before there was a network for it, and social is all about telling stories, sharing stories, recording them for history. I'll tell you one of the reasons I enjoy telling stories as a journalist is because of the story of my family. My parents, Mario and Nanda Montemurri, were immigrants from a small village in Italy, not much bigger than the Dearborn Heights subdivision I grew up in. My parents spoke Italian at home. My sister Donna and I learned to understand it, but they didn't force us to speak it. So if we wanted to figure out what was being said at all the family gatherings with all the aunts and uncles, if we wanted to know what they were talking about, we had to strain to look at their faces, to listen to their tone, to study every facial movement to get the details. I think it's where I learned to be a good listener, to study people's faces, to wait to see what gesture, expression, or word would fill the pause. My mother was a bit like the Italian-American mother, Dolores, on the old sitcom Everybody Loves Raymond. She was strong, opinionated, and determined to stand up for herself and her family. I learned that after I had an internship at the Detroit Free Press when I was 21 and I didn't get hired right away, that my mother called up an editor at the Free Press and demanded to know why. And they told her, you know, she's very young. We like them with more experience. And my mother never told me this. I learned this years and years later, which is a good thing. But if I have any chutzpah, it's because of my mom. In the ensuing decades, she'd make sure to bake Italian cookies for the staff and for special occasions. And I'm thrilled tonight that my cousins, Montemurris and Fucciarellis, are here in force tonight. And I know we wish our parents were here too. At Rosary High School, a long-gone all-girls Catholic school in Detroit, I didn't work for the school newspaper. I joined the high school debate and forensics team. It was a great foundation for a career in journalism, doing extensive research on both sides of complex issues. My opponents included the likes of a Catholic Central debater by the name of Mike Duggan, yes, and a University of Detroit high school debater now known as Daniel Granholm Mulhern. I must tell you, though, I am honored tonight by the presence of my teammates on the 1974 Class C state semifinalist debate team. Yay! Yay, Rosa girls. So that's Mickey and Margaret and Marianne and a forensic speaker, Jermaine Ronowitz, who is one of the best orthopedic surgeons in Michigan. And I am just so thrilled that they are here. And debate opened the door to much learning, but to also lifelong friendships. And I'm grateful for them being here. I'm blessed with the presence here of many, many friends, including my Dearborn Bar Trivia team. Yes, it's called By a Vowel. And many longtime colleagues here tonight. You're all part of my story. There isn't a person here tonight with me, for me, that hasn't contributed to whatever stories I could share with readers. Tonight, I also cherish the presence of Connie and Virgil Spite, two retired Detroit police commanders. Their son, Brandon, went to University of Detroit High School, and my husband, Paul Deal, coached him in golf. In his senior year, Brandon died of an arteriovenous malformation in his brain. I wrote an obituary about Brandon, and later I wrote about his family's decision to donate Brandon's organs for transplant. Later, Brandon's face was on posters at Secretary of State offices encouraging folks to sign up as an organ donor, and his image was part of a Rose Bowl float encouraging organ donation. It was my privilege to work with Connie and Virgil Spite on a book about Brandon's life and his continuing impact. Brandon's been gone for 16 years, but his story and the book inspire and comfort others, and proceeds from it fund scholarships in his name at U of D High. Thank you, Connie and Virgil, for being here with me tonight. Full disclosure, 11 years ago, I received a kidney transplant, and that was possible because of the generosity and love of my husband, Paul Deal. That union also was also a result of my journalism career. I met my husband on the night the Tigers won the World Series in 1984. He wasn't the car-burning Bubba, but he was transporting burglarized sod from the infield. Yes. And then several months later, I ran into him while on another story when the Angels brought us together in a bar in Hamtramck. He's been a funny, easygoing, generous influence on many people, most especially to our dear and talented daughter, Natalie. Thank you for all you do for me. I call Paul my own prince of the church because of his family ties. My in-laws were church architects and stained glass window makers in Detroit, going back to the 1860s. In reporting on the Catholic Church, I used those connections to make small talk and loosen up church folk, sometimes reluctant to talk to me. Another Free Press lifer like myself, Pat Shargett, reminds me to note how much fun we have as journalists, and the thrill of discovery and the thrill of finding facts that implicate somebody in something bad or even something unusual and joyful. And just being able to bounce ideas off each other has been just a real hallmark of my life at the Free Press and my fondest memories. And there are so many people here from the Free Press tonight who shaped so many memories, and that's Cassandra and Ellen and Susan Tompor and Pat Shargett and Kathy Kilishewski and Teresa Baldus and Amelia Ascari and Jennifer Dixon, and I'm looking out at all of you, and I can't all thank you enough for what you mean and what you've done and the continued good work you do as reporters, and such as Teresa Baldus and Alicia Anderson and Christine McDonald. You make me proud every day to be associated with the Detroit Free Press. I marvel at where my career took me. I was at presidential nominating conventions, a Miss America pageant, in the pits at the Grand Prix races in Detroit and Monte Carlo. I was suited up in scrubs in an operating room for heart transplants. I was in a small plane with Al Gore as he rubbed his feet. I was yelled at by Mayor Kwame Kilpatrick and Mayor Coleman Young. And I was at a funeral in the Vatican for Pope John Paul II, who is now a saint and who, of course, has second cousins in Detroit. To all my editors and colleagues who helped me conceive a story, helped provide direction, challenged my assumptions, told me to go get more facts, and helped me find the right words, there aren't enough words now to express my gratitude. And some of them are sitting here right now. One of my first editors was Jim Crutchfield, who drove in from the Cleveland area today, and he was very influential early in my career and steered me toward politics and steered me toward covering articles I thought I wasn't ready to do, but he made sure I had what I needed. And Ron Zonkowski, who's a Hall of Famer and is a Hall of Famer before he even had that recognition, to so many free press journalists for all he did, and he helped me in so many, many ways. They were some of my early editors. I owe a great deal to the late, great Susan Watson, and also to so many recent editors who aren't here tonight, such as Kathy O'Gorman and Nicole Avery Nichols. There are a lot of retired journalists in this room. There's still room for us to illuminate local concerns and issues, question secrecy and end runs in our local neighborhoods and communities. What we say, what we write, how we approach and listen to others can still have impact. Please don't shy away from that now, or helping others shine their light. I wrote several articles about Catholic nuns over the years. I look to many of them as women unafraid to speak the truth and put their lives on the line. Two of my English teachers from Rosary High School, Sister Patricia Johnson and Sister Noreen O'Connell, who are Adrian Dominican nuns, have been big supporters of mine over the years, and we had hoped they could join us here tonight. But it can be revealed now that they were also trusted informants for me on some issues. And I want to share with you a letter Sister Noreen had published in the Free Press after I wrote a story about nuns. This is what she said. Patricia, I decided to write to tell you what a good piece of writing you did about the IHM nuns in the magazine. Not only was the content handled very well, but the article was written with pizzazz. I applaud you for your overall style, good sentence structure, parallel structure, introductory phrases, clauses, and vocabulary. I don't want to sound like an old English teacher, but perhaps only an English teacher would notice. Some articles actually are boring, simply because they are not well written. Nobody knows that like all of you in this room. This room is packed with journalists who use good grammar and good sentence structure and good introductory phrases and deliver facts with pizzazz. And you are not boring. Thank you all for this immense honor.
Beautiful job, beautiful, beautiful. I heard that. Well, folks, I hope you see now why this is so important for us to do. While I literally am a Tar Heel myself, so I don't have to choose between U of M and MSU. I can just, be both. Wolva Spartans. I do want to say that it is amazing every single year when we do this. I want you to look at this table and look at this history and look at these folks who have made a difference in so many lives. Please give our honorees one more round of applause. The wonderful thing about this class of honorees, and welcome to the club, y'all, is that all of them have inspired others to follow in their footsteps, which means every time somebody asks me, well, is journalism dead? Is it dying? Journalism is never going to die. The corporate-run newspapers that are strangling themselves to death might die. Some of the TV stations that might have misguided notions about what people want or need might change. But journalism will never die. And thanks to those many people that you have trained, Walter, that you have mentored, Patty, that you literally have inspired, Sherry, and that you taught. Oh my God, how many you taught, Lucinda. And to the memory of Luis, who literally showed how it's done, we will prevail. We will prevail. And every time I look around this room and see that even though some of us have left, my side hustle is different now, working for the mayor, but I'm still a writer by trade, warrior by necessity. I look at M.L. Elric, who is black, and and I look at some of the other reporters who are still doing their thing. We know that it's still going to happen. We're still going to tell the truth. We're still going to keep to the facts. We're still going to make sure that people are informed. So that's our evening, and unlike some ceremonies where people tell you, you don't have to go home, but you got to leave here, we welcome you to stay until 10 o'clock. Grab a cookie from the back of the room, have some coffee, and hug our honorees. And our honorees are welcome to take the posters with you, Walter, if you get to it before I do, so that you can hang those on your wall at home. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next year.